Like me, you're probably taught in high school that low-digit inflation is part of a healthy economy. But our lived experience says otherwise. Something feels off. So here's what inflation really does to our future, measured in 4 levels, and what I'm choosing to do instead. I'm going to be using the US dollar here because historically it's been the strongest currency and the best case scenario. Level 1, the official inflation rate. The US government tracks inflation with what they call CPI, or Consumer Price Index. This is a basket of things that they think most people buy, and it averages at 3% a year, which is pretty good, right? But based on just 3%, we lose about 58% of our hard-earned purchasing power in just 30 years, turning $100 into just $42, about the price of dinner out with a beer. What happens with CPI, however, is that due to inflation, as people can afford lower and lower quality of life, the CPI basket that governments track also changes. Because if we instead track single-bed shoebox apartments, Netflix, and Domino's Pizza, of course inflation will stay low, because these things are not scarce or desirable, and they're super easy to make more of. If CPI tracked what our great-grandparents spent money on, organic whole foods, locally sourced steaks, and other red meat, large house with lots of land, all on one income, mind you, the outcome would be completely different than just 3%. That brings us to level 2, the practical inflation rate. Level 2 measures inflation by the increase of the M2 fiat money supply, which tracks how much new currency is printed by governments, and this is on average 7% a year. This is a way better measure of inflation because it's basic supply and demand that if something increases in value while demand stays the same, the value of the thing goes down. Measuring inflation based on currency printing, in 30 years, we lose about 87% of our purchasing power. $100 today would turn into just $13 in 30 years. So instead of dinner out and a beer, now you're just buying a beer. Already, almost all of our hard work gone. But it gets even more interesting, because level 3 is the honest inflation rate. Before governments could endlessly print currency, before we had this crazy inflation, before 1971, gold was money and dollars were simply paper claims to this gold. Just like if we drop off a coat to a dry cleaner, then get the receipt to pick up our coat later. Because gold is hard to dig out of the ground, inflation was super low. So low that people's purchasing power when saved in gold actually grew. Because demand on gold increased faster than the supply did. Which to us is such a foreign concept that our money can be deflationary. We're told that's pretty bad, but that's actually the whole point of money. To not just be good at buying things with, but to hold our value over time. On average, since 1971, when the US government ended the ability for people to cash in their US dollar claim checks to get their gold, effectively stealing everyone's gold, the US dollar has lost about 10% against gold each year, meaning that in just 30 years' time, US dollar holders will lose another 95.8% of their value against gold, turning $100 today into $4.20 in the future. So instead of that beer, you can get a Coke instead, some flavored sugar water. Level 3 could be seen as true inflation because gold is the real money here, not dollars. So it doesn't actually make sense to measure our wealth in dollars to begin with, when more can just be digitally printed infinitely by changing the numbers on a computer.
Where does it come from? Do you just print it?
We print it digitally.
And there is an infinite amount of cash at the Federal Reserve.
And if something has infinite supply, eventually, sooner or later, no one values it. Just like in the Weimar Republic, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, and countless other fiat currencies throughout history. But it gets even crazier with level 4. Level 4 is what you might not expect. I call it the heart-stopping inflation rate. Gold was the best money on earth, not because some government said it was. Governments adopted gold in the first place because the citizens, the people, the free market economy adopted gold. And they only chose gold because of its properties, how it ranks in 7 essential scores when it comes to ideal money. But gold has flaws in the modern world. It exists in physical space. It's super heavy and hard to transport. You can't buy things online with it. You can't even accept gold in a physical store because you can't verify on the spot that it is actually gold that you're dealing with or if it's fake gold.
Is it real gold or no?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
You can put gold in a bank and use a paper claim instead, but we know how that worked out for the US dollar. So what if I told you there is a digital asset with over 17 years proven track record, that it's the fastest monetary asset in history to reach a $3 trillion market cap, faster than any other company has even gone close to? and that this asset takes the properties of gold and upgrades them. It has no marketing budget, belongs to no company, is monopolized by no government. It's just better money, and that's why it keeps growing, because the market is realizing slowly but surely what this asset is and what it represents. The asset here is Bitcoin, and it's perfected the properties of money better than anything else even gets close to. I recommend pausing here and taking a look at the scores. If we measure inflation as a decrease in purchasing power against the new greatest asset on the planet, not the old one, the inflation rate in the last 10 years would be about 70%, or assuming a super conservative 21% annual increase in Bitcoin moving forward, would lose about 99.67% of our value in the next 30 years. $100 would have a mere 33 cents of purchasing power, which at your dinner out might now buy you just a packet of sauce. This sounds ridiculous, and it is an extreme example, until learning that $1 in the year 1900 could buy about a kilo of steak, and that's well before 1971 when inflation really kicked off. Not even 1% of the world understands what Bitcoin is or the money problem it solves yet, but already it's being adopted by governments, stockpiled by companies, and stacked quietly by millions of people all over the world. Every 4 years, Bitcoin has made a higher high and a higher low, and this time it'll be no different. It's the best performing asset on Earth out of all the major assets by a long shot, for good reason. If you have Bitcoin in self-custody, you have, and excuse the French here, you have fuck you money. Banks can be frozen, assets can be seized, even our body can be put into prison. But Bitcoin, the key to move your Bitcoin can exist only in your mind, and very few people understand just how powerful that is. And I'd love nothing more than for you to experience that yourself, even if it's just $1 worth. So I made a free community to help you do it. I'll teach you everything you need to know about Bitcoin and nothing you don't. So if you want to buy $1 of Bitcoin or $1,000 a day within Bitcoin School, I share everything that I wish I knew earlier. I'm in there every step of the way to answer any questions you might have. The link is below. If you want to go deeper, click here next.